Aloha! We're gonna look at equations with fractions. So, example number 1, you have x over 2 equals 3. Well, to get rid of the fraction, you multiply by whatever the denominator is. So in this case, x equals 6. Now that's the simplest fraction. What if you have x over 2 minus 1 equals 3, like that? Well, again, you want to get rid of the fractions. How? You multiply both sides by the denominator. So in this case, you multiply everything by 2 and you multiply everything by 2 over here. That means that you have a 2 in front of the whole thing. 2 times 3 over here, so on the right equals 6. On the left, 2 times x on 2. Let me write that. 2 times x on 2. And then you expand, basically. Minus 2 times 1. So 2 times x on 2, you get x. And 2 times 1, you get 2. And then that's what you end up with. You end up with a nice, straightforward equation. And then the inverse of minus is plus. And then you end up with x equals 8 in this case. So what about if you have fractions on both sides? For example, so you have x on 2 minus x on 3 equals 4, let's say. Okay, so if you have two fractions, what you do is, first step, you multiply the denominators and you get 6. And then the second step is you multiply both sides by that number. So you go 6 times x on 2 minus x on 3 equals 6 times 4. Now just to note here, 6 times x on 2, well, you know that 2 times 3 is 6, so 6 divided by 2 is going to be 3. And then 6 times x on 3, well, that means 6 divided by 3 times x is going to be 2x. That's how that works. So you expand it in here and you expand it in there. So that means you go 6 times x on 2 minus 6 times x on 3 is equal to 24. So 6 times x on 2, we write that over here, you get 3x. Minus 2x, you get 24. You end up with x equals 24. Very straightforward, very simple. Okay, another example. So what if you have then 3 fractions? X on 2 minus x on 3 equals 1 minus x on 4. Well, like in this case, again, you multiply, the first step is multiply all the denominators together. And in this case, you get 24. So just to note then, 24 divided by 4 is 2 times 3, which is 6. So 24 times x on 2 is like 24 divided by 2 times x. So you end up with 12x, and 24 times x on 3. So it's like 24 divided by 3, you get 2 times 4, which is 8. You get 8x. And finally, 24 times x over 4 is like 24 divided by 4, you get 2 times 3, and you get 6x. So that's the little working on the side there. So anyway, the first step is you multiply all the denominators. Then the second step is multiply both sides of the equation by that magical number that you just did. So then you multiply it out. So 24 times x on 2 minus 24 times x over 3 equals 24 times 1 is 24 minus 24 times x over 4. Now, when you're skillful, you can skip that step because you've done it on the side here to make this step much faster. So you end up with 12x minus 8x equals to 24 minus 6x. So on the left is just like terms, so you end up with 4x is equal to 24 minus 6x. and then it just becomes equations with variables on both sides. Minus 6 is less than 4, so you get rid of minus 6x. I plus 6x to both sides, get rid of the smaller variable. So you end up with 10x equals 24, and then you just divide both sides by 10, and you get 2.4, or 2 2/5, if you must have it in proper fraction. Over and out.